we have the team here. We have Shegun, we have Adetunji, we have Ekene, and we have Uche. Different fans, different perspectives, different backgrounds, obviously supporting different clubs. And everybody is gonna like reflect on, okay, how Man City got to this point, all the expenses, all the change in management, all the football efforts and all the great players that we've seen. So we're obviously gonna kick it off with our resident Manchester City fan. Adetunji, he's there, representing himself in his Man City kit. We can't banter him today. He's a champion. We have to give it to him. So Adetunji, first of all, congratulations on your win. The Champions League is not an easy trophy. Some people here, I can't even lie, we've not won it. So, like, we have to give it to you that, you have been successful. You are in a new echelon of teams represented in England as Champions League winners. And not only that, you won the treble in the space of 1 month. Is crazy. It's actually a crazy achievement, thinking of how the season started, thinking of where you are now. First of all, how do you feel about that? What do you have to say? Did you see yourself winning the treble this season? And if so, what do you think happened? What do you think is responsible for that? Is it down to the players? Just talk to us. Talk to us.
To start with, all glory to God. After that match on Saturday, I just saw a notification on my phone. You've been added to a new WhatsApp group, UEFA Champions League winners. And I went there, I was looking for Kene, Uchi, and I didn't see you guys in that group. I saw Shea.
Did you see my name?
Yeah, I saw you there, but I was like, wow, so this group has been here all along, and I've not been here. And you guys were not sharing that info. But anyway, to start with, I'm not taking any congratulations from Gemi, from Uche, or from Ekene at all, because it was very clear. You guys bantered us all season. I remember how Uche will always come. Have they ever chased the Arsenal? And I really like you to say the Arsenal, yeah. Ekene would come, they'll win a match, you keep shouting, my boys, my players. It was so funny to me when we were chasing them and Jesus came back from injury and he had a chance 1v1, he dribbled somebody and missed the chance, and Ekene was like, yes. When he saw Jesus miss a chance, he knew that the real Jesus was back. And I was like, come on, you guys want to win against us. But to cut it short,
my God.
I knew we were going to win it at the point, but it's a cup tournament, which means there are a lot of uncertainties that you cannot account for. You go back to recently the Champions League final 2 seasons ago, or was it 3 seasons ago? 2 seasons ago, you go back to the Real Madrid losing or being behind Man City for practically 179 minutes out of the 180 minutes match, and they turned it around within less than a minute. So those kind of things, we've been knocking, like you said, we've been very close. 3 consecutive years we've been in the last 4. That counts for something, and that shows readiness, that shows preparation. And I'm very excited, very, very excited. And for those who know, I had like very big celebration on Saturday, but very excited that we are finally the European champions. Not really so much about the treble. I'm not really looking at the treble now because we could win the treble. That doesn't really matter. But the first Champions League trophy, I'm really ecstatic at the moment.
Thank you. And coming to you, Shegun, you've won the champion. You're in that WhatsApp group, as you said, so you've been there, done that. It sounds like a boring WhatsApp group, but that's fine, though. There's no But anyway, coming to the manager, he was your manager, actually. He's Catalonian from Spain. His heart is there, and he's done this treble as well. He went on to win 6 trophies. How would you compare this treble to what he did in Barcelona? Him being, that's his first job, first season. How would you compare what he did now? Would you say this is a bigger treble? Because just to put some context, I heard some United fans saying this was even harder to win. I think we'll talk more about that in the future. But you, as a Barca fan, how do you compare this to that Barca? And if you can even speak on the other United treble, how do you compare this to that?
All right. So once more, glad to be on the show. And so let's speak on the treble. For Pep's treble with Barca, with my team, to me, I think he coached the best football team that football has ever seen, in my perspective. And the kind of football, the style that he used, the players in the arsenal of that Barca, in that Barca's team they were immense. Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, Piqué, Puyol, Alves. These were out of the world players in each of their positions. So if you look at that treble and you run it back compared to this treble that City won, I don't think it can be compared because of the kind of players that were on show for both teams. This City's team they've always had quality players, and they still have quality players. The kind of football they play, I think we are seeing a new brand of football. The tactical
The
three
Barca
man.
players were better than these City players. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. The Barca players were man for man. I don't think anybody could argue that. Let's even remove everybody outside Messi. Messi is better than everybody. That's like the greatest player football has ever seen, in my opinion. And Messi was in that team winning the treble. So I don't think you can compare. And the kind of football, like these guys they played what they call, I was listening to an interview and someone said Barca plays sexy football in that 2011, that 2009 to 2011 era. The kind of football Barca played, it was one of a kind. I know we've been seeing tiki taka in a while, but the kind of tiki taka Barca played throughout that period, dominating teams, beating teams with reckless abandon. No, I don't think you compare. But kudos to this Man City team again. This City team has grown over the years. They've been getting that chance. Last year they were close. 2 years ago they lost in the final. Last year they lost in the semi-final. And this year, I think with the kind of I think Man City just became effective over the years. That's what they became more effective. I think they found a solution to the issues they were always having, which was the defensive issues. They couldn't keep that defense short for like 90 minutes. They always found a way to concede. But this year, they found a way to minimize the way they concede. And I think Ederson is one of the unsung heroes of this Champions League for City. Ederson had a massive Champions League. Ederson was a guy that every City fan, including the will tell you, he can't save a fly. But this year's Champions League, from the group stages all the way down to the finals, Ederson was massive. So all in all, City's Champions League victory was immense. It was great. Pep Guardiola also showed that he could also tweak. It's not just that one conventional manager. He could change it during this season. He could play something at the end of the season, play something at the beginning of the season. He found a way to just make that team more effective. And at least we've seen it at the end of the day. City won the Champions League. They beat off huge oppositions, beat Inter Milan, beat Madrid, the guys that were potentially tipped to win the Champions League at the end of the day. But if we are going back to compare the Barca side and the City side, one-on-one on their Champions League win, I don't think I don't think it's close in my opinion.
Okay, so Barca's one was more special, essentially. And
Yeah.
Talking of special, which I'll come to you now, if we talk about something being special, being exciting, I don't know how old we were. I think I was like 6 when United won that treble in 99, Barcelona. And, it was last minute, 1 minute, 30 seconds to go. They scored 2 goals. They killed Bayern Munich. That was a crazy final. Like, I think every football fan can admit that, wow, this is one of the special moments of football. Would you say, like, that was more exciting than anything Man City has ever done, even this treble? Because remember, we talk about how Haaland is a robot and Man City is like sort of like an emotionless team. They're just there to kill you. Like, there's no passion. So what would you say about this current treble compared to like what United did?
Okay. I'm going to talk from the perspective of the Champions League and how City blew teams away, especially in the latter stages of the Champions League, as compared to Man U's performances in the latter stages of that Champions League 98-99 season. City literally blew teams away. They blew Bayern Munich away. They blew Madrid away in the second leg. And it's kind of difficult because you could argue that the footballing philosophies are from different eras. But in my opinion, I'd say City's treble is more impressive because it's the way they literally blew teams away with play with a swagger, playing good football, and just blowing teams away. That's why I would say they edge it over that 99 team.
No, That's it. That's a bold claim, yeah. But I'll take it, you know. We'll take it. We'll see what Pep has done. Ekene, coming to you now, you know. I mean, obviously, they've talked about the treble, you know, how great this team is, how great the manager is.
Yeah.
Like, looking at this treble and then looking at all the other trebles we've seen in our lifetime, I'm saying start from 99 and becoming
Just a few, actually.
just United, we've seen Barcelona, we've seen Bayern Munich, you know, we've seen them.
Inter Milan.
Inter Milan,
Inter.
I missed that. Thank you. So, analyzing all those trebles, man, those were great teams, great managers, great moments. This Man City won, you know, thinking about this season, let me give some context. How Arsenal almost won the league, and you know, how Man City like have fallen short in the Champions League before, albeit they had a great Champions League season, but how they came to playing Inter Milan. And I feel like, you know, that final wasn't too like, it wasn't the toughest final they would have played. Let's just be honest. They did win the Champions League, but looking at that and then compare it to like, you know, all the other trebles that we've seen from different teams, like, how would you say, where would you rate Man City's treble this season? You know, what would you say it is?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Yemi. First of all, I'm really disappointed. You know, I'm really sad that City won that Champions League. I'm really sad. Really sad. This is a sad moment for the sport, but you know, we have to. We just have to move on. We have to move on. I think money won this time. So
money won.
Yeah.
1-0 to money this time.
Yeah, 1-0 to money, you know. So in terms of the treble, comparing it to the previous ones, during my time, like right now.
Let me listen again.
For context,
like
he supports
the last 10 years.
He supports Arsenal for context, so I don't know what time.
During the last
Arsenal.
During the last 10 years, I think the most impressive would be Barcelona, then Inter.
Why Inter? Because of who they beat?
Because they had to beat the mighty Barcelona then with a red card, you know.
Okay.
And they were not even supposed to even win the Champions League. Like even the final.
That's a very good point.
Even the final. But I think City were expected to win the final, you know, but they still did well. So I don't want to compare, but I think they really did well. Other teams could do it, but they couldn't. So let's just give the kudos to City for winning the treble.
You just a sidebar. Do you give them more credit for winning the Premier League, or do you blame Arsenal more for losing the Premier League?
I don't want to talk about Arsenal because they have millions. Because no. I was disappointed with my club this season. So no.
Okay.
City really did well. They really did well.
They did. We cannot like that. And let's come back to our City fan now. I know the guy has been hearing everything we've been saying. He has just cooking. He has just
been some victory wine.
He has just been.
You know why I know? Because I've sipped water this week is sipping. That's why I know. I have tasted it.
It's just simple coffee, sir. Just simple
coffee. It's a victory. That's how we take it. We that we have won the Champions League.
Oh, we that we've okay. Sorry, I was lost in the script a little bit there.
You get it.
Oh my God!
Now you have my attention as a champion.
Now we have your attention. Okay, as a champion, while at your beck and call, that's fine. Yeah, the Champions League winner. So now you've won the Champions League, man. Like. There's a certain, we saw it this season. I know you won't lie. You guys have won 2 Premier Leagues before. There was this sort of like lack of motivation, if I would say, from the players, from the coach. It was like, we won the Premier League, we won it with 100 points, we beat all these people. Like, what's left, you know? Like, where do we get this sugar, this from? You know, and, you know, now you guys dug deep and you got it. Now you've won the Champions League. It's like, you know, okay, what next? Can you do this again next season? You know, can you maintain this level of performance? You know, obviously, we know City is not going to sell off all their players and drop in quality and all. If anything, we know the plans that City management has to improve the squad. So, what do you see going on with City? You see City losing their top players like Gundogan. You know, Kovacic is more or less, you know, it's not confirmed, but more or less is leaving. Do you see City like losing like maybe 3-4 players, and then maybe the drop in quality, and we see other teams now coming to compete for the Premier League? Obviously, we see more teams in the Champions League now. I mean, more teams like Arsenal in the Champions League now. So there's more competition. So how do you see this playing out? And then obviously Pep as well. Your manager now. How the man can. He likes a challenge. He has won it now. It's like, okay, what next? Is he going to stay at City? How are you guys going to move forward from here? What are we saying?
To start with, Arsenal being in the Champions League makes the Champions League a little bit
Tougher, of course, yeah.
less tougher, because you have Liverpool who had been to like 3 Champions League in the last 6 years out, and you now have Arsenal that hasn't won the trophy in 20 years. So I think it's a net negative.
Okay.
But to move ahead to City, if anyone could remember the interview with Pep and Ferdinand, where he was asking, how do you keep this motivation? And he said, look at it, like the same team doesn't win every season. You have to get some players out and you bring in some new players. And I think that sets up a level of competition. So you see someone like this season, we had Aymeric Laporte, who on an average should be second choice Manchester City central defender. You brought in Ake Akanji, who should be the last choice. And because of that level of competition, these guys are coming in, okay, I wouldn't just rest here and just take up this position, Laporte became the last choice. And whenever he got games, he played well. But the fact that those guys just took that competition out of his hands, and it was just one of those reasons. And you could see how City played defensively. We saw players lacking motivation like Joao Cancelo, and we saw what the manager did. Cancelo was feeling just so saturated. I don't need to do anything. You would always play me. I'm a very key player. And what he did was to bring in an 18-year-old player that I personally do not rate at all, because I've seen a lot of young players come from the City Academy into the first team. But he made a statement with Rico Lewis. The statement was, if you are a senior player and you feel you've won everything, you don't want to challenge, someone else will take your space. And it happened to almost everyone. It happened to Laporte. Diaz came back from the World Cup with an injury. He was fit. And for like a month, he was on the bench constantly. Kyle Walker also, the same thing that was happening to Walker was happening to Cancelo. So I feel he does these things. And when you think back at it, like, does he intentionally put a little bit of turbulence in the team? So like, he motivates some guys, and some guys will feel like, okay, the manager is against me, or I need to prove it. And he's able to get the net, the total gross performance that is better than what, individually you feel like, I don't need to do so much. This season, there's been a lot of players rumored to leave. Guardiola is rumored to come in for Laporte. Bernardo Silva wants to leave, which I personally would be very happy if he does. I think the news has been too much. Gundogan wants to leave. I think when Mahrez wants to leave, when those guys leave, obviously City would bring in other players that will come into that team and have something to prove. So you have someone like, we've won the Champions League, Kovacic comes in, for an example. He's not just going to say, okay, we are not, there's nothing to do. He would need to actually fight in for that position. And considering likes of Phil Foden didn't play so much since the second half of the season, Cancelo will be leaving, probably get a new right back. I think that's that way it keeps that team motivated, moving players around, making sure that no one is really very comfortable, aside maybe the goalkeeper and maybe Alan. He keeps moving people around, drop you this season, drop you for half season, you learn. And I think that is his key, and it's really wonderful. And I see that happening this season. I'm very open to a lot of players leaving, and seeing players come in and keep that level high also.
I think that's key. Freshen up the squad, you're right, and you have that confidence. Like Bernardo Silva can go, we'll be fine. Like that's
and you asked about his future. So
that guy was just announced in the Champions League team of the season. That's a special player right there. Are you so confident that if you lose that guy, you can replace?
Come on, we've lost Fernandinho, we've lost Company, we've lost David Silva, and I don't think he's as good as those players in those teams. So I think we would move ahead. That's the thing with City. City played the Champions League final without the most important player in the team, or the best player in the team, De Bruyne. He got injured, and we won the game. So I've seen a lot with Pep. He's a manager who has the best system in football, and systems usually win most times. Yes, it might not be the best Champions League final. You compare it to like the Real Madrid game or the Arsenal game in the second leg. You look at that quality, you say, okay, it's far, far better than what we did in the Champions League final. But we've won it. That's the fact. And I think about its future. You mentioned there's been rumors like it's going to leave at 2025. I think people should just rest right now. People are trying to put a little bit of problem in the media, trying to disorganize the team. But we're having a title parade right now as we're having this, and that's all what matters. We've won the treble, we've won the Champions League. We are coming for the golden trophy next year in the Premier League.
The golden trophy.
I said what I said. I said what I said.
The golden trophy. Okay.